Perfect. Perfect.
All right, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk. This is the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. I'm your tour guide around the SWAC. See what's coming at you. And as you can see on the scroll today, we have our Mississippi Valley 2023 season preview. Delta Devils were picked fifth in the media, so in the media order of finish, and that's probably about where I think they're going to finish. So we're going to talk about Valley. You know, Valley's got new energy, got new coach, got a lot of new things going on. So we'll talk about how I think the season is going to go, and what my thoughts are about the Delta Devils as they fire that Devil's gun in 2023. That is the best thing. That is the best fight song in the conference, man. Argue with your mama, not me. That I love that song. So hey, y'all rock with it and check it out. If you ain't heard it, man, it goes. It goes. So just rock with that Devil's Gun. We have a few more previews coming before the start of the season, so you can check the socials and get that information. I got the list on all my socials. I think they all pinned to the top of my profile. Facebook is the SWAC Talk, Instagram SWAC Talk, Twitter SWAC Talk 76. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. Both of those go a long way in helping us continuing to grow. You can also hit that join button to become a member, or you can hit that super thanks. If you want to show a little love to the show, you get that super thanks. Either one, we greatly appreciate it. Other than that, man, we got SWAC Smoke coming again at you on Thursday, and Monday. We're dropping a very, very new thing that I haven't done before. We're previewing SWAC women's soccer. We're going to try to cover the SWAC inside and out this season. So we're going to do a soccer preview, and then later on we'll do a volleyball preview. We're going to try to cover as much of the SWAC as we can. Football obviously is king, and football obviously is going to get the most. But we're going to try to cover some of the other SWAC sports this year. So we're going to do a soccer preview. That's going to be dropping on Monday. So, if you're interested in that and you want to see how I fare with something that when it comes to SWAC women's soccer, I don't know much about. I love soccer as a sport, but, there's going to be my first foray into SWAC women's soccer. So, hey, join me for that. And if nothing else, watching me, go through that, it would be entertaining enough for you. So let's talk Delta Devils, man. Valley is a team and a program that just, they have not had a lot of success. I mean, I don't know a nicer way to put it. Valley is a program that's always been a hard job, and they go through coaches. I mean, Coach Dancy was doing a good job, but that still was a team that had only won 4 games, with the most wins in his time there. Just to let you know what is like at Valley, Valley has not had a winning season since 2006. They haven't won 7 games since 1996 or 1997. I think that's right. It might be 87. I gotta go back and look at my number. But I know they haven't won more than 8 games since the late 80s. Since the Jerry Rice, Willie Titan days. This is just one of those teams, man, that it's just so hard to find success. They haven't won, like I said, they haven't won 4 games. 4 games was their most wins since, like I said, since 05, 06, and they won 4 games in 2021. Other than that, they just don't have a lot of success. So. And that's some really great coaches come through Valley, but historically this team just cannot get over the hump. And they last won 7 games in 1996. So that will let you know the level of futility that Valley's going through, and some of it's out of their control, but they haven't had any success. So that leads us to last season. Valley going 2-9. Coach Dancy goes to Colorado with Coach Sanders. Leaves an opening. Valley brings in a guy who played wide receiver at Valley, Kendrick Wade, to take over, and he's brought a lot of energy to this program, and we're going to talk about that as we move through this. Last season, like I said, was a 2-9 season, 2-6 in conference. Beat Prairie View for the second time in a row. This time stopped them from making the SWAC championship game. The year before, they kind of sent them in on a low note, but the Valley is known by everybody for being tough at home. They don't win a lot of those games at home, but they find a way to make games more uncomfortable than you would like. Sooner or later, those have to turn over the wins. And as Coach Wade said at Media Day, it's time to start winning the small things to get to those wins on the field in close games. This is a team that brings back quite a few guys now. It's going to be hard for me to project any of these guys with a new coaching staff. And honestly, maybe some of these guys have gone into the portal, maybe they haven't. It's a little tough when you don't have an updated roster to work with. But this is a team that brought in, a ton of guys, and they are for the first time at like 90% or their scholarship allotment. So they're able to start to put together some depth. They brought in JUCO guys, they brought in high school guys, they brought in portal guys, and some of the guys that they brought in out of the portal are guys who are going to contribute. You're looking at a guy like Jordan Moore on the defensive line, Joseph Church on the offensive line, Pennymon and Killings in the secondary, Barham at linebacker. Maldonado is going to come in and challenge for that quarterback position with Jamari Jones, Jared Wilson, a running back, and they got a special teams guy, Alexander Davis, as a punter. Those are the FBS guys, and you got to expect, especially a team like Valley, who is basically starting over. A lot of those guys are gonna get first crack at a lot of these jobs. I mean, playing time is definitely available at Valley. Aaron Wells, another guy who I think who will be able to challenge for a job because of Tennessee Martin. Jordan Bussey on the defensive line from Incarnate Word. So they are bringing in guys, and like I said, the multiple JUCO guys, multiple high school guys. They're getting guys to come on visits, and they're getting guys to commit, and they're selling a image and they're selling a vision. It's just gonna be tough to know where that takes you on in real life, because this was a team, to put it bluntly, last season they weren't that good. They were pretty bad last season. A lot of these numbers don't mean much anymore, but they averaged 14.5 points per game and gave up 30.4 points per game. The offense really couldn't get anything going. They were last in total offense at 270 yards per game. They were 11th in total defense at 440 yards per game. They gave up 6.5 yards per play. They gained 4.3 yards per play, which was the least in the league. The rushing attack was actually not that bad. I mean, it was still ranked low, but not that bad. They ran for 143 yards per game. They only scored 6 touchdowns on the ground, so just could not generate points. The run defense was actually middle of the pack at 148 yards per game and 4.3 yards per carry. When they went to the air, that's when a lot of the problems came. They were last in passing offense, completing 46% of their passes as a team. When you do that, you're obviously not going to have a lot of success. They threw nine interceptions and 12 touchdowns, 127 yards per game. The pass defense was 291 yards, which was last. They had 7 interceptions. They gave up 24 touchdowns, which were the second most touchdowns allowed in the league. So this defense really struggled, giving up 65% incompletion rate. Teams just were able to do what they wanted. The offensive line struggled last season, giving up 35 sacks. They lost one of their top guys on the D line and Luckett on O line and Luckett to injury early in the season. You get him back, so that's definitely going to help this team kind of find some kind of stability. They were last in sacks as a defense with 17, and that's with a guy like Jalen Bell on the D line and Ronnie Thomas, who was a guy who was a huge factor on that team. To have a team only register 17 sacks when you have guys who were solid pass rushers, that really makes it tough. It's hard to really find any. It's hard to really get anything going when you have a guy with 10.5 sacks and the rest of the team has 17. There's just no pass rush there. Bell had four and a half, so you had 15 sacks between two guys, and everybody else just was. It was just hard. It was just hard for guys to generate any kind of pass rush. So you lose that. You lose the bulk of your tackles for loss. Again, those two guys combined for 28.5 tackles for loss. The team as a whole registered 79.5. So you lost a good chunk of that. You lost a lot of your top tacklers, and you lost your best running back in Caleb Johnson transferred to Prairie View. He did play in 9 games. He missed a couple games with injury last season, but still was your leading rusher. You lose your starting quarterback for most of the season and most of his time there in Jelani Eason. So you lose him. You lose Jacory Rankin, who was your top receiver. So there's playing time available for this team, man. And I don't want to look back at 22 no more. It's all eyes ahead. We're looking at that mirror. We're not looking in the rearview mirror. We're looking in that mirror that's straight ahead. To quote a great coach. But this team, there are some talented guys that are still on this team. Kobe Bates is a guy that can really be a difference maker in this team. Could be a newer version of Julian Stafford, who was the guy at Valley, who was an all-purpose guy, solid wide receiver, solid return guy. Bates could be that guy as well. I mean, he averaged 24.3 yards per kick return with a 97-yard touchdown. So that's a guy who can be a playmaker on offense. He didn't really get a lot of touches in the pass game, only caught 8 passes, but he had 151 yards and 1 touchdown, 18.8 yards per catch, which was the best on the team. But he didn't have he didn't necessarily have enough catches to register on that. But Valley was a team that didn't really throw deep a lot. They threw a lot of short stuff to get their guys in space and see what they could do. And then they just fed Caleb Johnson for the bulk of the time. Eason would get some carries as well. So it's interesting to see how this team translates to a new coaching staff. How the offense is going to fare. Jamari Jones started 6 games last season. Wasn't really, he probably put up better numbers than Eason, but he still wasn't a world beater. But completed 54% of his passes, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 795 yards. So he was a guy who was capable. If he can get more action, more reps, he was a guy who was definitely capable. He was the 3rd leading rusher on the team with 207 yards and 3 yards per carry. So that's a weapon right there. Like I said, Maldonado is a guy who transfers in. Don't really know what he's bringing to the table, but I think he's going to be a guy that competes for that job. And the running back room is going to be wide open. Jacoby Thomas is the top returning rusher. 397 yards and 3 touchdowns, 5.1 yards per carry, on 78 carries. So didn't really get a whole lot of work because Johnson still ran for 144 carries in 9 games. There's still talent on this team, but how you mesh it, with the new talent is always going to be the key when you're in a situation like this. Just like my Bethune-Cookman preview, this is a total guess. Same thing with Jackson State, although Jackson State brought in the number 2 FCS recruiting class. So things are different there. When you look at a whole new program, a whole new team, basically. Valley, they're coming off of a string of bad seasons. Um, a fresh start is good for a team like this. Like I said, new coach, new faces, lots of new faces. Um, it's gonna be important for this team. To me, the main thing for this team is to be competitive. Um, I think if they can just keep themselves in games, like they've done in multiple years, play games close, keep yourself in them, and who knows what might happen. Um, you got to start being able to do the same thing on the road. Valley hasn't really been a great road team. Most of the games they win are at home. Um, is a lot of factors on why Valley doesn't play nearly as competitive on the road as they do at home. Um, this is a team that they just have to compete. I think you just go out there and you find you start to identify what you're working with. You define your quarterback. You take advantage of the fact that you're going to have depth now, and you can start to improve both lines because line play has always been an issue at Valley. Even with solid guys on your D line, you don't have the numbers to keep those guys fresh. And the same thing on the O line. Being able to build up depth is definitely going to be important. Finding your playmakers, that's going to be one of the key things going into camp and going into the first couple of games is finding your playmakers. Um, Getting a quick start on the season is also important. If you're looking at a win and loss total, getting off to a great start early is very vital to that. Valley hasn't gone 2-0 since 2005, so they don't the success has just been hard to come by. But if you wanna get to some of those numbers that a lot of people are throwing out, 4 wins, 5 wins, whatever, you have to get off to a fast start. That's a must. The defense needs to find a way to get off the field on third downs. Um, with a new team and new philosophy, that's going to be vital. This was a team that gave up 41% on third downs and 42% on fourth downs. Um, they have to find a way to get off the field. They have to find a way to win the turnover battle. Valley was actually even in turnover margin last season, so even though the offense wasn't that good, they weren't careless with the football. They didn't take a lot of risks with the ball either, but they weren't very careless. So they were able to they turned the ball over 15 times. The opponent turned the ball over 15 times. So if they can win that, then that gives you a better chance of getting short fields. The special teams are going to be obviously vital when you have a team like this. You ended up with second team all SWAC kicker. So that's to me could be a weapon. At least if you got a guy who's gonna be that who looked at it as that he needs to be a weapon. Anthony Turnage is that guy. He didn't kick any field goals last season. He was mainly doing kickoffs, but he's a guy that you can look forward to seeing if he can get some things done in the kicking game. Like I said, Kobe Bates is a weapon in the return game that definitely can help you get some of that hidden yardage and just continue to bring the energy. Can the energy maintain once the season starts? That's to me gonna be the key for Valley. Right now, Valley's they're moving well. They got a great energy, and the coaches are out there. They're energetic. They're young. They fiery. They hot. They're getting it done. They getting guys to come on visit. They're getting guys to commit. They turning over all stones. They're not scared to go nowhere. Can that continue once the season starts? That's going to be definitely a key factor in the growth of this program because right now, you're 0-0. You have a lot of optimism, but once the season starts going and if things get funny, can you keep that momentum going? Because eventually you have to play the games And if the things don't go the way they're looking right now, some of those people might back off. So can you still sell your vision um, with if the season doesn't go in a good way? I mean, to me, I look at Bethune-Cookman, Valley, and Pine Bluff as year zero type of teams. To me, this season is a wash. I mean, obviously, Coach Wade gets paid to win games, and Valley fans want their team to win games. The players want to win games. I'm not saying it's a wash like it don't matter, but to me, you're playing with house money in this season. Whatever you do successfully is a bonus, and it really stacks up to put you forward for the next season. And if you can generate some wins, that's going to generate more momentum with the recruiting and getting guys to come and getting guys to see your vision in action. So that's why I think a good start is very vital for Valley, and being able to maintain that momentum as the season progresses is very, very vital. That's why the main thing in my preview for Valley is not necessarily the guys who are coming back, but it's going to be the new guys. Can they gel with the returning guys? Can some of those guys step up and become the playmakers that Valley never really had in numbers? Valley's always had a good receiver here and there. They've had good running backs here and there. They've had good linemen here and there, good linebackers here and there. Good defensive backs here and there. They've never had a lot of that all together. And if they can start to piece that together this season, you find a way to, scratch and claw to a couple wins, then you can prepare yourself for next season. So I look at, finding wins and trying to win games, but building for the future. And that's why I think it's important to be competitive. So looking at the schedule for this upcoming season, and like I said, the first couple of weeks are very, very important to the success of this team. You open up in Chicago at the Chicago Football Classic against Central State on September 2nd. I think that game is on HBCU Go. Well, yeah, it's right on the screen. HBCU Go. So televised game, opening game. This is a good opportunity for Valley to come out, play a team that that you should beat. You never want to overlook anybody, especially when you're coming off of a 2-9 season. But you have a lot of energy, a lot of momentum. You're playing in Chicago. That's a place that a lot of Mississippi people are. Maybe you can get a good turnout, and you go out there and you just ball out, and you pull out a dub there, and that's your first win that's your first opening season win in quite some time. So that definitely is a key to the momentum of this season. You get a bye week on the 9th, early bye week. I don't really like that, but you get a bye week on the 9th. And then you go to Delta State in the Delta Classic. Delta State is a tough task. They beat Valley last season. They are a team who has, had a historical run. They're a solid D2 program. They're one of the top teams most times in D2. And they can give Valley a lot of problems. Last season, they beat Valley 28-17. So not a blowout, but I mean, still an 11-point loss at home to a D2 team is not a good look. You go into their house, you need to win this game. This Coach Wade, returning back to Delta State where he coached at. Got a couple guys on the team from Delta State who transferred over. So the emotions are there. If Valley can win this game and start off 2-0 for the first time since 2005, then the season outlook changes a lot. If you're 2-0 going into the Circle City Classic on the 23rd of September, then there's possibilities there to steal some games. Central's going to be tough. I mean, they're obviously the MEAC champs last season, Celebration Bowl champs last season, predicted MEAC champs this season. A lot of people think they're going to win the Celebration Bowl again. They are a very, very great team, and that's going to be a tough task for Valley. That team that they beat in 21 is not it's a lot of the same guys, but that team is older and more experienced than that 21 team that Valley beat on homecoming in Urbana. So this is going to be a tough task, but if you can make a great showing in this game, that's going to put a lot of people on notice. Come home on the 30th against FAMU. You played FAMU tough the last time they came to your house. You got to kind of expect Valley to be fired up to play at home. This is their first home game of the season, so you kind of expect them to be fired up for that. And like I said, Valley always gets somebody at home. So you're looking at FAMU as I'm not saying that they're gonna beat them, but if you want to knock somebody off, you're gonna have to knock off a top team, and it's typically at home. So FAMU is a team that is gonna have to be on watch against Valley, but I think FAMU will win that game. October 7th, they go to Prairie View. Can they make it 3 in a row? A lot of it's going to depend on how they're playing at this portion of the season. Now, Prairie View, they, for whatever reason, Valley's had a number the last couple of years. Can they get over that hump? That's a key. But I think Prairie View finds a way to win that game in a close one, most likely. October 14th, homecoming, you get Pine Bluff. This is a game that is probably almost, I don't want to say a certain win because no game is a certain win when you're a team that was 2-9 before, and now you got a whole new coach and mostly new team. But this is a game that's a winnable game. This is a game that needs to be looked at as a win. It's homecoming, and you want to beat a team like Pine Bluff. They tried to manufacture a rivalry between 22 teams, but I don't really think it took. But you want to win this game, so this may be one of your few shots at a win. Barring getting off to some amazing start. So I think they can win this game. This is a toss-up game because we don't know what Pine Bluff really got. We don't know what Valley is really going to look like. But I go with the Delta Devils at home in this game, and then that leads them to October 21st at home against Jackson State. Same thing I said about FAMU. I'm gonna say it here. Valley, Valley's gonna try to ambush JSU. And who knows how JSU's gonna be doing? A lot of us think they're gonna do good. Some people think they're not. But Valley, Valley's gonna be waiting in the weeds for a game like this. If they don't get FAMU, they may, this may be the game you look at and be like, well, they're gonna get this team here. But all intents and purposes, I think JSU wins this game. I think Valley gonna again make it close. But we'll see because a lot of that also this season that I have to see differently. Valley had a different intensity under Coach Dancy. I want to see if that's going to carry over, if that was a reflection of the coach, if that's just the way these guys are. Valley was scrappy. They would, even in games that they lost pretty badly, they would still be in the, in there chirping and, still scrapping to the end. So can they keep that? Can they keep that attitude? And that may be the reason why a lot of these games Valley's played the last couple of years have been close at home because they just got that straight dog mentality in them. They want to get out after everything and make things happen. So that's why I say it's gonna be. They may get somebody at home, they may not, but the threat is always there. October 28th they go to Alcorn. I think the Braves are in line for a great season, so I think they'll beat Valley there. That leads them to November 4th at Bethune-Cookman. Again, this is another game that's probably one of your winnable games. We don't really know what either one of these teams are going to look like. I went with Bethune-Cookman because they're at home. I think they'll find a way to win. Valley I just don't feel good with Valley on the road, even against a team like Bethune-Cookman. But that puts them there, and then they close out their home slate on November 11th against Alabama State. This could be that game that Valley, Valley, like I said, they always pull one out their hat every now and then. They did it last year with A&M, Alabama A&M. So this could be that game against Alabama State. We know the Hornets got talent. We know the Hornets can be a threat, but we don't really know for sure. This could be a game that Valley catches them late in the season. And then they close out at Alabama A&M. There's going to be another road game and another opportunity to get a road win somewhere. But I don't know. It's going to be tough for them. And so that gives me a projection for Valley of 3-8 and 1-7 in conference. Now, like I said, I didn't get in the Bethune-Cookman win. I could have did that and made them 4-7 and 2-6. And 4 wins first time since 2021. If they go 2-0 and they can beat a Prairie View, or they can upset a FAMU or JSU, or they could beat one of the Bama teams, and on top of that Bethune-Cookman loss that I can switch to a win. I think the ceiling can be 5 wins. I think anything more than that is gonna really be stretching it. 5 wins really is it's stretching it. It's stretching it. You're relying on upsets to get there, and you can't really forecast upsets like that. But that's their best case scenario is 5 wins, 5-6, and the worst case scenario would be not winning a game because if you lose to Central State, I don't think you're gonna win a game. But I don't think they'll do that. So your worst case scenario could be like 1-10, and not win a SWAC game, or 2-9 with 1 SWAC win. So um, there are some possibilities for some good things to happen if the team could get off to a 2-0 start. If they don't get off to a 2-0 start, then it could be some of the same things. We don't know what this coaching staff is going to look like. Once the rubber meets the road. So there's a lot of interesting things, and Valley's going to be a team that's very intriguing to watch. We're going to see how if they can translate that off-season energy to in-season energy. And that's the key factor to me for Valley this season. So compete and build for the future is my outlook for Valley this season. So that's going to do it for today's show. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in. Again, we got our women's soccer preview dropping on Monday. We got SWAC Smoke on Thursday. We got our Prairie View preview on Wednesday. So we got a lot of things going on, man. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and follow and like the socials. And we'll catch y'all on the rebound. Peace.